So I'm talking to Bert Liverance, who's an artist in southern Ontario. Makes wonderful, gorgeous oils and now encaustic paintings of beautiful, luscious flowers. Been at it for quite a few years, 15 years or more.
Yep.
And and I'm wondering, how did you what led you into art and this form of art, this theme of yours, the beautiful flowers?
I grew up doing sculpture and really loved the three-dimensional form. And in university, I took an art history class, which had a lab. And in the lab, you tried different medium. And one of the mediums I tried was oil. And I really enjoyed it. And so I continued to work with oils after I graduated and kind of dabbled. And when I was in the U.S. Air Force, I did airplanes and fighter pilots and things like that. And I was kind of an artist that was painting with really searching for a subject matter. And I saw a photograph of a wild iris in the Muskoka Times, which is a newspaper up around the cottage area in southern Ontario as well. And I was just fascinated by the color of the yellows and the purples and the whites, and it was I had to paint that. It's just one of those things. Like, as an artist, you like going, you realize there's something. I gotta paint.
I gotta do that. Yeah.
And after that, I just got hooked on the colors and the diversity and every flower has taught me something new.
Wow.
And so, from a subject matter perspective, I still have an inexhaustible supply.
Of course, there's flowers everywhere.
Yeah, they're just so fantastic. I mean, you just can't help but be inspired by the color, the vibrancy, and I think the life message that they give you as well in terms of their constantly renewal and things like that. So just like I couldn't think of another subject matter I'd rather paint now.
That's wonderful. And that's wonderful. And I'm wondering, like in the actual painting, the oil, the sensuousness of it, the flow of it, the smell of it, all of that stuff must go very well with the theme, right, for you?
Yeah, I actually have a couple
of
students that I'm working with, and I say, you're taking the consistency of butter and you're turning it to the consistency of yogurt and then putting that onto a canvas. And it's a slower drying time than acrylic, like you say, and a different opacity than a watercolor.
Yes.
But it really is. I find it's a very sensuous art form just because of the way the paint goes on the canvas.
And the way, it feels under your brush with the canvas
and
so on. Did you ever paint on linen?
I've done linen once or twice, not very often.
No.
But then the encaustic painting with the hot wax pigment onto wood is it's a different type of feel, much faster.
It's interesting, that you're moving in that direction now to encaustic. It's interesting to me, Yeah,
well, I do some encaustic, but I think my passion still is with oils.
You're going to stick with it.
Yeah, that's just where my heart is.
Yeah, so it's interesting to think about how the media can lead you to a theme, or vice versa. The theme that you want to do can lead you to the media that you want to express it in, right? That's so it would seem more like that's what happened for you. The second one, the theme led you to your medium.
Well, I think that I was working with the oils, and the medium did kind of enabled the theme, because I find that the oils are just such a vibrant color, as opposed to watercolors are beautiful, but I don't find them as intense as
they're
oil.
Light and thin. They don't have a depth like oil, right? Oil is deep. Oil's like your flowers. You look at a flower, it's thick. It's three-dimensional. And oil, to me, gives you some of that. I don't know whether you'd agree with that. It gives you some of that feeling of
that's true.
Dimensionality.
And it goes back to my when I was younger, and I did the sculpture growing up, and I really liked that three-dimensional feel. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to recreate when I'm doing my art now.
Yeah.
really want to have that sense of three dimensions. So when I'm looking for a subject matter, I'm really looking for the interaction of light with the subject matter as well, because I find the light and the darkness is what really enables that sense of three dimension.
That's wonderful. That's really a sculptural idea, isn't it? The way the light falls and makes the form. It is.
It really gives you that sense of dimension, and then a lot of techniques like harder lines, softer lines, bright colors next to dark colors, really get that sense of three dimension going.
And for me, your stuff really gives, it gets that message across. I mean, I just really, they seem voluptuous. I love those flowers. I could bury my face in them. They're just great.
Well, I know that's what I'm trying to do. When I had one woman that has one of my paintings, and she says she meditates in front of it.
Yes,
and
I can believe it.
She's really in the zone when she ends up on the petals.
I can believe it. That's so wonderful. That's great. So the thing is, one of the thoughts I had looking at your stuff is that it's all this brilliance and exuberance and flowers, but eventually flowers die. They crumble, they wilt, they fall apart. And a lot of modern art today is about everything's falling apart, about chaos, about garbage dumps, and about broken up stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like that. And so I'm wondering if, as you get older, what do you think will happen to your art? Do you think it'll change in any way in the kind of directions I'm talking about? Or what do you think? I don't know. I just thought I would ask you the question, see what happened.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because, a lot of times what manifests itself on the canvas has been in my head for months or even years.
Yes.
And I'm particularly concerned with the global environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I've contemplated putting oil onto flowers, painting the oil spots, or, to your point, painting wilted flowers and things like that, is a symbol of the impact that the human species is having on the earth.
Sure.
I haven't done that yet. I'm continuing to focus on the joy of flowers at this point in my life.
Yes.
But I will not rule out.
No, well, by the time you get to my age, you might be more interested in your body's starting to fall apart. So it starts to get reflected in the work, maybe.
Interestingly enough, though, if you go back to some other famous flower painters like Georgia O'Keeffe, she never painted wilted flowers.
No.
But she did add the bones when she started moving to the Southwest into her paintings as well.
Looking at your encaustics, the few that you've got on your website, the 3 or 4, they look a little faded. They're a different shape. You go right onto the flowers themselves without any. You fill the whole frame with just one flower, I think, in most cases, of those. And I'm wondering if the encaustic itself is a medium that kind of lends itself to fading, to maybe a little bit of the dark side of life in some way. I don't know whether that's reasonable. That's a thought that occurred to me when I was looking at your paintings and the encaustics, and I'm wondering what you would say to that.
The encaustic, because the solvent with an encaustic is heat.
Yes.
You have to basically heat your pigments up and apply them to brush onto the wood. It cools very fast, and then you have to bond it to the wood with like a hairdryer, like device. And so it tends to be harder to maintain the same level of control with encaustic that I can achieve with oils. With oils, the paint goes where I want it to go, and it's incredible. So the encaustic for me has been a challenge, because you have to do it as fast because the solvent's heat, but it's also hard to maintain the control.
I get it.
So what you've seen, and I'm probably a novice. I am a novice at the encaustic, whereas oil, I feel like I'm fairly accomplished.
Yeah, you're a master of it, obviously.
Well, I don't know about a master, but so I think what you're seeing is that in my encaustics, I just haven't developed my technique with that medium hasn't matured enough to have the same type of results as I have with oil.
That makes sense. What about your oil? Do you do it in layers, or do you do a lot of layers, or do you tend to?
I typically do it in one pass. I mean, so actually, I've got some videos on YouTube that show the evolution of some of my paintings.
Oh, good. That's good.
And yeah, so if you look at them, I'll do the underpainting first.
Yeah.
Which is the outline of the major shapes and shadows on the canvas, and then I'll start working on a particular petal, and I'll work my way around the canvas and fill it in.
Yes.
Occasionally, I'll go back if I see something I don't like. I'll go back and I'll touch it up, or I'll with a white, I'll highlight a little more pop, or something like that. But typically, once I've gone through a particular spot on a canvas that I'm happy with, that I'm done.
Oh, good for you. That's great. Thanks. This is very nice talking to you. It's good.
It's great talking to you too. It's great to see you.
Yeah. This is fine. Where do you sell most of your art?
Right now, it's really more through direct contact. So I'm not doing as many festivals as I was doing before. At the peak, I was doing about 30 art festivals a year.
Wow.
Now I'm doing juried exhibitions primarily. I was recently in the Botanical Artists of Canada, a juried exhibition, and won Best in Show for oil and that.
Wow.
But doing mainly, like I say, juried exhibitions with people that are in the floral space as opposed to just generic painting space.
I get it. Wow. And Sarah, your faithful helpmeet,
She's
everything.
She is my faithful helper.
She keeps you in line, right?
She
keeps everything.
Me supply with oil paints.
That's great. Look, Bert, it's been really nice talking to you. What I'm going to do, I'll just write it up. I'll post it on the website, and